governments. Where are they getting sick and going? Their governors, where are they going? They're going to the UK. Right. Look at even the Prime Minister's family. Look at all these politicians. They're not taking their children to these poor hospitals that we are suffering here. Right. So if they will not call a press conference, it's 10 days, the president has said nothing about this strike. Right. I don't think, I've not had any strong statement from the opposition.
Okay, Speaking of people who are suffering, there were buildings that collapsed recently, and rescue teams were on Monday night deployed to search for missing people after a 7-story building collapsed at Mukuru Kwanjanga in Embakasi. Most of the tenants had been evacuated before the building caved in, and this is not the first time houses have collapsed in Nairobi, claiming many lives. Officials have been threatening to tame those behind the construction of the structures, but no action has been forthcoming.
This is business unusual, and this building was approved by somebody somewhere. What is the fate of that person who approved this building? Because it's not just enough to tell us that we are going to take action. No, we want to see action from everybody who was involved in terms of allowing such a structure to exist in the first place.
Me, all I can say about that is talk is cheap. Talk is so cheap.
No one will resign. Nobody will be taken to court for this.
Right.
No, it will be business as usual. People will forget about it. You know, this is like the third building that has collapsed in a very short time. We had all these Kidero men running around and doing all that they had to do to pretend that they are doing some work. NCA also came out and marked a few buildings for public show, and they disappeared back. These buildings, police were there and they saw they were cracking. No action was taken. I mean, if it was on a building in Karen or elsewhere, will we be having this kind of a situation? So it's a poor man. You die in that building, or you survive, you go to a hospital, there is no nurse.
I'm also sure it's like a rich man, poor man thing here. I think it's just the case of people bending the rules consistently. And we're seeing this from the top right till the bottom. That is even why we have an IEBC problem, because people are bending the tendering rules, Dr. Nelly. So what do you make of this? In fact, I saw Rachel Shebesh, I think, and I saw Evans Kidero at the scene shortly after this building collapsed. And I'm thinking, where have you been for 4 years?
You know, the last building that collapsed, we took somebody to court.
Right.
And I'm wondering, the way we are creating so much hula-baloo about the tendering process of IEBC, why aren't we creating an equally big hula-baloo? The president just 2 weeks ago said that anybody who touches the SGR is going to be charged with capital offense. This is where the capital offense is. Somebody just caused the death of people. And that there is no way you're going to tell me it was not premeditated. These are the people we should be making an example of. Why are we having oversight bodies that still have people who sit in offices when these kinds of things happen? They should be fired. You're not going to tell me that they'll take you to court and say it was irregular to fire them. Fire them 2-3 times, and these things will stop. Put people in jail for killing people, and these things will stop. But we have made peace with it. In this country, the worth of your life is dependent on whether you're poor or rich. If you are poor, people are going to forget about you even before you turn cold, and it is very sad.
Right. I do agree. It's very, very sad for people to die when we could have prevented it. Ramadan, what do you think about this?
I think even as citizens who failed, we've normalized. This a result of corruption. This is a corruption. We will pay for it with death or with our lives throughout the system. So if a citizen or the public wakes up and say no to corruption, we won't have unapproved buildings being built in Nairobi. We won't have these debts. But because we like it, we want shortcuts in life, we will pay it with our lives.
I think, one of, unfortunately, the people who was affected there talked about that there had been warning signs that had been there. The building had been marked X, meaning it had been approved for demolition. But the problem is the court systems get flogged with cases. So you find that there's a backlog of injunctions of people, and these are people who will not be brought to account, but you have a court system that somehow works to the favor of some, not necessarily to the favor of others. Because, I mean, if there was an injunction in place stopping the government, the county government, in that point, from demolishing this building, then there's not much that the county government should do. But then they have the power. They have the power to look at the risks, assess the risks, and look at the humanitarian aspect of it. That if you have this building, keep it in play, there will most likely be a tragedy like this. But unfortunately, it has become what it is. It is business as usual. We will talk about this today. Next week we'll go on. Tomorrow we'll go on to what is on in politics. Next week a building will collapse. Same thing over and over and over again. But it's because, like you said, there needs to be a system of a punitive system, so that people who are behind the planning, the approval, are held to account, and not just sitting behind a courtroom with several lawyers, but having, like what you said, people are losing lives, so it should be a capital offense.
Absolutely.
Right,
Yeah.
Paul, do you agree? Should
even
this be a
if-
capital
just
offense?
if
I mean,
may
I will
add-
flip it the other side.
Nelly, go quickly.
No, just if I may add, I have a problem looking at it from the court system. When we go into election, we set up a special court for election disputes.
Yeah.
Why have we never thought that life is more important? How come we don't give them the due diligence and say, can we set up special courts? These things have become too rampant. We're going to allocate 2 courts that are going to strictly deal with all these injunctions and expedite. And anybody who is being caught up in this is going to go there, face a capital offense, and we deal. We're not taking it seriously. It's not because we don't have capacity to.
I mean, as citizens, for me, I look at it from our side in terms of what is our responsibility, because, I mean, we have a government that has clearly failed to do what they should do, but even us as human beings that have gone to school and properly understand the risks that are in, police have come and told us the building is crashing. We have seen it with our own eyes, it's actually cracking, but we are still stuck in there.
Maybe you don't have an option.
No, but
Yes.
then again, going back to the
look at
cost
it,
of living, you have to look at the cost of living. And what they're saying is that they were aware, some of the residents were aware